Yes, 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 yes. It's your friend. Everything we talk about here is consensual between consenting adults. This is Nicholas Tannick. It's your kinky friends, YKF. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are here with Miztress Claudia and Nicco Noire, the magnificent Nicco Noire.
Hi.
And today we're talking. This theme of today's show is I don't care about your dick. I'm not wearing a tie. I'm not wearing a tie. I'll tell you.
I don't
why.
care about your tie either, Nick.
Yeah, because tie is like symbolic. You see them, the businessman walking around with their big ties, their big red ties, longer than their waist, swinging around, wanting to be a big fucking toxic male. Fuck that. I don't need a tie. I'm a good person.
You don't need. You are a good person. Yeah, you don't need a tie. You don't need a tie.
I am so thankful. This is so fucking cool to have. Seriously, two of my coolest friends, but also two people of the kink community who really know kink, and they know about your cock better than you do, probably. Right? Please welcome the magnificent Miztress Claudia and the magnificent Nicco Noire. Welcome.
Hi.
Oh, that's awesome. Hi.
Claudia, it's so good to see you, baby girl.
I know. I didn't realize the time difference again. I thought it was, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, okay. In your defense, Arizona does not have time zones like everywhere else in the States. So when everyone else springs forward and falls back, Arizona's like, yeah. So it is for Arizonians very fucking confusing. Like, I don't know what time it is because I know what time it is here because it's always this fucking time. So it's okay. You're forgiven. We blame Arizona or the rest of the country.
The subject is, I don't care about your dick. We were talking about it the weekends last week. Domme Danielle, who should be on the show soon, and Miztress Claudia, we were talking about how there's so much emphasis on the male genitalia, male cock. So let's just kick it off. How does focusing on non-genital forms of intimacy reshape the power dynamic? Miztress Claudia?
I think that it creates a much deeper and unique connection when you don't actually focus on a penis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Take the penis out of the equation.
Yeah.
Altogether, I think. I mean, when I saw the subject of the show today, like I felt compelled to come on because I don't care about anyone's cock, and I felt like people should have an update of the Norwegian at some point and his cock.
Oh yes, the Norwegian.
But we're not talking about his genitals right now. We're talking about no one's genitals.
But just for the show, because as the show progresses, so people will know if we mention the Norwegian. The Norwegian is a well-endowed man who is
strictly in a cage. Well, see, a lot of things have happened since we last had a show.
That's true.
A lot of things. He and I had a falling out, then he took the cage off. Oh yes. And then he took the cage off, and I told him he was a moron, and then he put the cage back on. And so now I'm going to be seeing him for the first time in 3 months tomorrow.
Now, is he going to be all obsessed with the cock?
I'm certain he's going to be obsessed with his cock. I'm certain of it. Which to his dismay, because I don't care about your fucking dick. I do though.
All right. Now, one of the things in the kink community is ED, erectile dysfunction. A lot of people are dealing with it. When I was sick, I was terrified of my cock not working anymore. So I kept on thinking, like, thank God I'm kinky. I could use my mind. I could use other parts of the body. There's so many other ways. So as a professional dom, a lot of subs come up to you and they have erectile dysfunction, or they pretend, or just it's a part of it. It's a part of the culture, that has to be addressed. So how do you handle the sub's erectile dysfunction just in general, Mistress Claudia?
I think that they're much more conscious about it than I am. I mean, I really don't care. The only thing I do to cock when I'm in session is if I'm going to touch it, it's not going to be in a loving way. So I don't really care if it gets hard or not. I think, there's so much misconception on the planet that everyone thinks, the bigger your dick, I don't know, that women love it, or I don't know, men love it. It doesn't even matter to me. I mean, you get to a point in your life when you're like, oh, yay, another one. Woohoo. Yay. So I think, but for men, I know it's an ego thing when, your brain down below isn't thinking anymore,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that, well, so here's the thing. I think as far as ED goes and stuff like that, a lot of my clients, I don't want to say older gentlemen, but they're, well aged, and they're always popping Viagra or whatever before they come to, in the bathroom before the session starts or whatever, and that's fine. I mean, if the thing of it is we as pro doms, we see this all day long. Like, I would say, Claudia, and I think you would agree with this. I think 50% of my new clients, if I allow them to climax, 50% of them can't do it. And it's not because of ED, it's because of nerves. They're nervous. They've never, it's when the first time you play with somebody, I mean, I'm basically a stranger to you up until that point, and vice versa. So there's a lot of other stuff going on there. And I think that it is important that people know how very common and how not unusual it is. It's we're not sitting there going, what, do you not think I'm pretty? Of course, that's what I say to them to make them feel bad about it. But
all right, here's a question. Momus has a song called Nobody, and it's about, the line says, stay nobody for nobody else but me. So I want to take that a step further. Is ignoring a cock a form of attention?
Yes. 100%. But it's the wrong kind of attention, I think.
Mistress Claudia?
I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's a form of negative attention, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I've, like, the Norwegian, we had a falling out because he didn't like the way I did or did not play with his dick. And I told him, I said, I know. And I said, well, you know what? If you're going to give me the keys to the castle, then you don't get to say when I unlock the fucking door.
That's true. Yeah, that's part of the game.
That's none of your fucking concern, sir.
Yeah.
Until it is, right? Well, and so the thing of it is we kind of had a back and forth where we went with absolutely nothing. No cage, no play, no nothing. And it's like, well, now you have to actually deal with me. Do you know what I mean? And so there's also something to say for Chastity in the fact that, if you take away a man's ability to use his penis, you're in you're in psychological territory. Now you're fucking not just with their dick, but you're fucking with their brain, because that's technically where everything is going to stem from.
In my book, The Coolest Way to Kill Yourself, I'm in Chastity for like 2 weeks, and I write about how I start listening more. I start paying attention more. I start opening the doors more. And, do you want to drink? Getting very attentive.
Training is amazing.
So what do you do when your sub comes? All right, your sub comes in, and he's all about his cock, either big or he's just focused on it. How do you unfocus someone? How do you unfocus a sub when it's all about his cock, Mrs. Claudia?
Well, the first thing I do is if they are basically expecting me to pay attention to it, I have a big giant roll of duct tape and I make their cock disappear. So I just literally duct tape it so it's out of sight, out of mind, and you can't have any access to it.
I make your cock disappear. That's the quote.
Yep. I like that. Or I love humblers. I think because they do just that. It takes away their dick. It puts them on all fours. It makes them very, very vulnerable and very submissive. And you don't have to worry about their dick very much anymore, or anything else for that matter. I mean, at that point, they're a fucking footstool. So
let's see what we get the humbler. A humbler BDSM. Let's see if we can get a picture of that.
Oh, I made one.
You made one?
During COVID, I was bored. Hold on, I'll find it. It's somewhere.
Well, here's while she's getting that. What do you think of this, Claudia? Do men metaphorically think that their cock is a sundial? Think about it.
Metaphorically, a sundial?
I don't know. I mean, it like what?
Metaphorically.
What's that even mean? So they're just laying on the ground and they're like, "Tell me, is it noon yet?"
Meaning, basically, it tells you. Their cock is the reason to find out what time of day it is. In other words, it's like the clock is the reason to be, is the reason to dictate everything. Basically, your schedule, your day, everything. You know what I mean? That's what it means. So, in other words, you get people metaphorically. Do you think men? I mean, it's a joke question, but the toxic masculinity of going in there, going in the dungeon, saying that I'm a fucking, it's all about me, that's what the question was all about. So let's just get back into this. When was the last time you actually said the phrase "I don't care about your dick" to somebody, or something like that?
Oh, yesterday.
And what was the situation?
I was talking to the Norwegian, and I keep telling him he's at the grocery store, or I tell him, I say, "Show me your dick," and he's like, "I'm at the grocery store," and I'm like, "I don't give a fuck where you are. Go into the men's room and show me where your dick is now. You have fucking 30 seconds." So what he did was he pulled his pants open and he just like snapped a shot in the fucking aisle, and I'm like, "And now that's how you go to jail for being a fucking weirdo predator. What are you doing?"
He snapped it in the aisle?
In the aisle. He took it in the aisle. I would show you the picture. There's grocery, there's a cart, there's the whole thing. I'm like, "Are you for fucking real right now, dude?" I said, "Go to the men's room, and this is how you go to jail."
Yeah. Why can't?
But he did it.
So
he gets, like he did it though.
Miztress Claudia.
Big boy.
What was the last time you looked someone in the eye and said, "I don't care about your dick"?
One time I had someone that said, they said, "Oh, do you think I have a big whatever?" And I was like, I really don't care what it looks like or what it is, and, but he was concerned that was his large or not. And I told him that I really don't care as long as it's squishable and I can step on it. No. Yeah, I don't really care. I mean, I make it known, I think that when people come and see us, they kind of know what's going to happen. As far as when it comes to, what's going to happen to their penis. So I just think that a lot of people have a lot of men, I keep saying people, but a lot of men have insecurities when their cock doesn't perform anymore due to health reasons, due to psychological reasons, due to whatever. And
Right.
I think there's a huge stereotype that's presented in society that, especially when it comes to like sexual things, that it, oh yeah, I could last for an hour. And it's like, and like, whoop-de-doo, what does that do for anyone,
Well, and there's also the misconception that you're going to have sex with your mistress. I'd like to squash that straight away. Mistresses.
Even when I was a kid, and I was like fascinated with movies and stuff like that, I even knew,
Right, sure.
because 80s sex comedies, stuff like that. You don't fuck dominatrixes.
Right. And here's the thing. There's a lot of pleasure doms out there. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not killing on that at all in any way, shape, or form. But I definitely think that is going to be in a situation that is in a real life situation. Okay. So if you're coming to a pro dom, you are not coming to a pro a professional sex worker of that sort. Yes, we are professional sex workers, but we are the only sex workers you meet that don't have sex. And I need to make that very clear. There is a distinction. And I'm not killing on anybody who runs their subs or businesses however they want. But what I have learned from being a dom, and what I've learned from so many doms, is when you give away your pussy, that's when you give away your power. And I've yet to do that. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that this whole topic came about. I think it was because we were talking about Miztress Claudia's ex broke his penis, right? And
good girl.
Yeah, so we were like,
not with me. We were going through a divorce, and we had to postpone the date of the. I was at the courthouse waiting, and he actually sent me a message, and he was in the hospital with a broken dick.
Are you fucking kidding me?
So,
oh my god, so just like I just broke my dick. Like, what did he? I mean, how does one just break their dick?
Well, he was having sex with his girlfriend, and it must have slipped out, and when it went back in, it broke. Like it hit her. It probably hurt her too. But
now let's talk about the conception of that. So as a man, right? As a man, it's terrifying to break your dick, but there's also the braggadocious thing of like, yeah, I'm fucking somebody. I fuck so much I broke my dick. Now, how did you feel when you heard that news, Miztress Claudia? I mean, you're dealing with the courts and the frustration in life, everything like that. You don't need to hear this shit, right? How did that make you feel? What was the first thing that came to your mind when you heard that?
Good.
I was mad about being at the courthouse waiting, but then I thought it was funny because I thought it was just slipping out because it was so little.
Oh wow!
But
That's what
your picture.
That's good.
Yeah, it was like whatever. I mean, we were like oil and water. We were just super toxic for each other, and I'm sorry that it happened for his sake, but whatever.
Right.
The Norwegian. The Norwegian chimed in and said, Nicco told me 3 times today already. And I'm sorry, Miztress Claudia, you were saying at the time?
No. At the time I was mad because I had to go to court. This guy was like suing me for equity of my assets. We had only been married for like 7 months.
Oh, fuck that guy.
Yeah. Well, he has broken dick. So whatever. Karma. I don't know.
See how that works? That's what I'm saying. Like, people, listen, if you want to be written about well, be a fucking better person. That's my advice to you.
Yes.
Because here's the shit.
Yes.
Karma will come and find you, and she will leave your fucking real name in the pages. Don't fuck around with that shit.
And I'll say this too. Thank you for saying that, Nico. I'm writing another book, and this is after I've been in the kink community and had a show. I'm writing a book called "The Coolest Way to Save My Life," which is, the coolest way to kill yourself. A follow up to that. So, in other words, everybody who acted very nice to me, yeah, I'm celebrating them. And guess what? Everybody who acted like a fucking asshole, they're going under the bus. Yeah. So, I'm just documenting history. Anyway, let's go. Let's go back to the thing. All right, throwing away chastity keys. The whole sissy narrative, chastity. I constantly see Doms like over a toilet. Like, these are your chastity keys, and I'm gonna throw them away. Or over a balcony, I'm gonna throw them away. Or I don't know, I'm gonna mail them to your mom or something like that. Or whatever.
Who did we talk to that we knew that threw them off a fucking bridge into the river? And I was so excited. I thought that was the best thing I'd heard all day. It still kind of is. Pissed. Pissed. Go, fuck you. Go find him.
Mr. Claudia, have you ever thrown away or threatened to throw away chastity keys?
No. I have not. No.
What about you, Nico?
I've lost them. But not like really lost them. I just misplaced them, and then I was just like, "Oh fuck, where'd I put them?" And then I'd find like six sets of of keys, and I'm like, I'm going through all these like different I'm just Cinderella-ing my way through life.
Well,
let's see which one fits.
We have another guest, and this is a very good friend of mine who is part of the YKF Poetry Project. Please welcome Vivian Vibes. Oh my God, Vivian, you're on mute. Yes, there you
go. Hi.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
Vivian's amazing. Vivian's a poet. She's in Pep Love, dominatrix.
Nice.
Just a magnificently beautiful. This woman has the fire. I talk about this light, this fire that people. Oh, this person has it. So we're talking about the subject of this is I don't care about your dick. So I'm going to kick it off with you. Is there an emotional or spiritual replacement for ejaculation?
An emotional or spiritual substitution for ejaculation, replacement for ejaculation. I don't know, finding other ways to get your needs met. I mean, like,
that's a deep one. There's a lot going on there.
Right. There's a lot going on there. So like, I feel like a lot of the times when men are really like centered around their dick and orgasm and like the ejaculation process, a lot of it has to do with the fact that they haven't done a lot of inner work about getting their own needs met and what those needs need to be. And they substitute their feelings of self-worth with their ability to come. And so for them to do that work and realize why it's so important for them to have their orgasm and why it's so important to be centered around their dick, they have to go really deep into that.
Yeah.
Who needs therapy? Just call Viv. Like, we're good. Like, what the fuck? No, that's true. Like, I think it's very hard for not just men. I think for people in general, to separate feelings from actual feelings. And ejaculation is a feeling and a feeling. They're the two feelings, but it's one of them is actual and one of them is going to be done in 30 seconds. Do you know what I mean? So it's that short fleet. They've built up these huge scenarios and grand, dreamscapes and hellscapes and God knows what fucking else. And then it all comes to a crescendo of 30 fucking seconds. And then they're like, oh yeah, hey, my name's Todd.
Yeah. And it also, a lot of the emotions that we get from arousal, like a lot of the, a lot of the hormonal responses that we have, like the oxytocin and the dopamine and the endorphins and the serotonin, all of those things can be met outside of the bedroom, but you have to actually know how to get that type of like
How to find them.
intimacy and how to define them. Like if people got more hugs every day, would they need to come as much? Maybe. You know, are you depressed and just rubbing it out as much as humanly possible for that little bit of a dopamine hit? Sometimes, but like, right. So like a lot of it is also the addiction to the physiological responses because they're not taking the time to understand how to fulfill those.
Absolutely. Which is where we come in.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll
Now,
help you understand.
why SPH?
Why
I'm curious
not?
to answer that.
Why not?
Why not? You
So-
it's in the fucking job description, firstly.
But okay,
That's
but why
why.
do you think, as because all three of you are very experienced and you've dealt with it, but why do you think some people like small penis humiliation?
Attention.
Is it
Yeah.
is it attention?
It's attention.
Mr. Claudia? What do you think? I saw your eyes light up underneath your sunglasses. what, why do you think people like SPH?
It's really funny because a lot of people that I do that with are extremely powerful, very successful. And I just think it's almost like an ego check, where they're just in a vulnerable spot where it's usually a person's worst nightmare for someone to laugh and tell them that they have a small penis. I think that everything is so geared towards people having big, huge cocks. And, you never see in pornography, which, I mean, it really kind of, I don't know, in my opinion, dements the brain, where people think that everyone has a giant penis and everyone's cock is like 13 inches. And, oh gosh, mine's only 5. And, I think that a lot of people that I do SPH with are very successful, very powerful. And it's kind of just that whole stepping out of their, real life and going into a different space where, it's grounding for them, I think.
Okay.
I hear that. I feel that.
Vivian, any thoughts?
I mean, I feel like that's really spot on. I have certain clients that are into small penis humiliation because it's like they want to hear that their wives don't even want anything to do with them because of it, and then it becomes like a cooking situation with their small penis humiliation thing.
Now, I think all 4 of us are artists. We're poets. We do. And insulting someone is a very poetic way of insulting someone. So, what are some clever ways for small penis humiliation? What are some clever things that you could say that it's something that you've heard before that you don't really hear often, but you're like, damn, I wish I thought of that one.
Well, of course, my favorite is, oh, you have such a pretty clitoris.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Yep. Aw, look at that little clitty.
It doesn't matter how big your dick is, because all of my dicks are bigger than yours.
Yeah.
I've never met anyone with a bigger dick than me.
All right, we have here, I've had bigger things between my toes. Your cock doesn't even qualify as an appetizer. Your penis is like a poor excuse for a key. And trust me, it won't unlock anything here. That's... all right. There is more to life than what you do with your cock. What?
Is there?
Well, here, when I was sick, right? I'm in the hospital. I was afraid to get an erection. I was afraid to try. I was, because I didn't want to fail. You know, and there's that masculinity thing of like, fuck, am I useless? What the fuck can I do really if it doesn't work? That like there's that fear involved. And I don't know. I just
Nick, we don't care about your dick.
yeah, that's true. But what I'm saying is that there is like that is what you're dealing with is that psychological aspect of the guy. It's like we can't even, as a man, we can't even fucking help it because we have it. It's attached. It's like, you know what I mean? So,
you have to understand that we as women understand that you as men can't help but let the dick lead. We know that from the jump. We saw that coming a mile away. So we see that and we just let it. We let it. I mean, we see it. We know it. And the thing is somehow. Oh God, I'm coming around full circle here. So
all right.
Yeah. There's this. That's a deep hole. Anyway,
here are some. So I asked people at the manor, Mr. Shari and Catnip and Chastity Queen. She couldn't make it, but here's some questions. First of all, why do men lie when their cock doesn't work? Vivian?
Fear. Yeah. Fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough, fear of being less than. I think a lot of men spend their entire lives being told that they have to be the top of the food chain all the time, 24/7. And if they're not the top of the food chain, then they might as well just be a woman, right? And like,
but the why?
And then they were.
And then they just have a little clitty.
Is the lying just to kind of like get your foot in the door, so to speak, and be like, oh, if I like, I'm in the situation where I could use it finally, you know, maybe it'll work, it'll magically work, or I'll get pills or something like that. Is it maybe that's why
most ED is actually caused by psychological reasons, right? So like when we're talking about like erectile dysfunction, a lot of it is psychological. And so like with the right person in the right place in the right time, yeah, it could absolutely happen. You know, once they get over that mental block, of course, aging and things come into play with that. Testosterone levels come into play with that. But it's easier, much like a lot of the things we do in society, to pin the cock not working on the woman than admitting that maybe we have to go to therapy or get a medication to help us. It's not like Cialis is like out of the question, you know?
Right. Absolutely. And I'd like to take it a step further. So just as of within the last 10 years, has birth control been something that's been on any sort of insurance, right? Like, so up until about the last 10 years, female birth control was not even an issue. It was not covered by any sort of insurance really at all, unless you had some sort of special insurance. Now it's generally covered everywhere. Obviously, you can get it for free, but that's been within the last 10 years. Viagra, however, has been covered by fucking insurance for the last 40 fucking years.
That's a good question. Since Viagra, let me ask you this: but all three of us have seen the evolution of Viagra and the evolution of Cialis and sex pills. How has that changed? And what is your opinion of those drugs, Vivian?
I mean, I'm all for gender affirming care.
Okay. All right.
It's like, if you feel like that's what you need, then that's what you need. But like also having a healthy sex life throughout your entire life is really important to a lot of people. And I don't blame them for that at all. I think being able to have that is really important. I wish that we would put more research and attention into women having happy, fulfilling sex lives for the rest of their lives too.
Let's talk about
because
that.
It's deeply unequal. Like, right? Like, fucking, I'm so tired of talking about dicks because honestly, you all get the most attention for everything. Meanwhile, the studies for things like endometriosis are like little to none. And the funding that goes into like the female orgasm. I mean, like, remember when the book the G-Spot book came out? Okay.
There's still an argument about whether or not women actually squirt or not. Get the fuck out of my face with that.
Literally. There are men who think that women don't even have orgasms or enjoy sex. Some of them are running the country.
Yeah. in a way,
Lord.
in a narcissistic way, it's like, let them think that, be stupid, because that makes me like look enlightened. But you know what I mean? All right, we got Mr. Shari asks a question. Why do men think they are automatically worthless if their dick is small?
Social conditioning.
Claudia? So okay, social conditioning.
Sorry, Claudia.
The boys' locker room. Everybody's gonna sit there and compare. You know what? I mean, y'all should just take pictures. Just take pictures so you know, so you can remember. Oh, well, I like that dick, or I wish my dick. Just take pictures. Stop. And more importantly, your dick's your dick. Like, who cares? Yeah. What are you gonna do about it? What are you going to do about it?
That's an important thing. I mean, there are people.
You can have a micro penis. Your head game will be on point.
Yes, and there are people of all shapes and sizes. You know, I mean,
also,
like, seriously.
Also, I have found that men who have bigger dicks tend to be less great in bed than men who have smaller ones, because the men who have smaller ones tend to actually give a shit about their partner's pleasure and spend time working on the foreplay portion, as opposed to being like, I can just stick it in there and that's good enough. Woohoo. Like,
Good point. Very good point. Catnip asks, why do they think that their cock can do things that toys can do better?
I have no idea.
Do you come across that?
I have no idea. I dare you to compete with my Hitachi. I dare you to compete with my Hitachi. If someone asked me, pick a man for the rest of your life. Here's the rest of your life. Here it is. Okay, so you can have a Hitachi or a man. He can build houses. He can do this. Give me the fucking wand. Give me the fucking wand.
If I have the proper amount of orgasms, right? If I have the proper amount of orgasms, I can build a house. I can do it.
I can build a house. I am a house.
A brick house. Hey.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mom.
All right. Chastity Queen has some questions. The marvelous Chastity Queens, who also is part of the YKF Art and Poetry Project. All right. Is jerking off a form of OCD? Miztress Claudia?
I need the bigger guns here.
I don't know the answer to that. I think everyone jerks off for different reasons. I don't know the answer to that.
Yes.
Vivian. Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm just loud. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So, yeah, me too. Listen, I can yap. But, so, is jerking off a form of OCD? It can be. Yeah. It can be. I mean, anything that you can turn into a repetitive habit that you have to do in order to, like, ritualize something before you can move forward throughout a day could be turned into OCD, right? Like,
you could had a period.
Yeah, like there was a time where I could only eat things in like odd numbers of things divisible by 3. So like jerking off could be OCD, especially because you get all those good feelings out of it that you are not necessarily getting anywhere else in your life.
I think I was just like any other, 12-year-old boy in the bathroom. Like the moment I found out that I could make my vagina do that, that's all I did for like a year straight. Like that's all. Like I didn't have friends. I didn't go out. I didn't do anything because I had to take a bath.
Yep.
For 3 times a day, every day for a year, until I like. I mean, yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the first time I gave myself an orgasm,
your mind's actually kind of blown.
Right. Well, I mean, and it wasn't even until I was like 18. I had like some weird stuff happen in my teen years. So I didn't like start experimenting with masturbation until like much later. And I squirted the first time. And I was like, hey, look what my body can do. I'm going to do this a whole bunch and figure out why.
Like, I'm going to figure out how to use this for good and evil.
When I was at the peep show, when I was at the peep show, I used to be able to aim it. And so I would hit different parts of the glass.
That's magic.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Did they like stick their face up to the glass
Yes.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
100%. They wanted to absorb into the fucking glass. Yes, of course they did.
Yeah.
You're
I
seeing
would.
pictures, right?
See, I'm knocking shit over. I'm excited about it.
I
It
missed you,
reminds
Nicco.
The jerking off of OCD reminds me of, I don't know if you've seen that movie Wolf of Wall Street. Matthew McConaughey has a very smart part, and he's talking to Leonardo DiCaprio, and he goes, "You jerk off?" He goes, "How many times you jerk off a day?" He goes, "I don't know, about maybe once." He goes, "You got to get those numbers up. You got to get 2 or 3 times a day. I jerk off right in the morning."
So I
Rookie
love that movie and I
numbers.
hate that movie
Yeah,
because
I know, me too.
now all these ever since that movie came out, all these clients, you know, the scene with the leg and the
Margot Robbie.
I want to do that.
Mommy.
Of course you do.
Mommy.
Of course you do.
All right, so Chastity Queen questions continue. Why do men stand up to pee when it sprays urine everywhere? Why not sit? I know the answer to this. We all know the answer to this, but let's just go around and get your answers.
I don't know the answer to this. I can't even imagine. You need to sit down with that thing, you fucking sprinkler.
Miztress Claudia.
I just think that it's a programming. I think that from a young age that it's taught that's how men pee.
Vivian.
I would agree with that. I mean, like when my nephew was potty training, we used to put like Cheerios in the bottom of the bowl to like teach him how to aim and hit it and like sink the Cheerios and stuff. So like
I'm gonna tell my sister that.
it works so good, right? So like we don't really teach them that they can just sit down and do that, but also then they're like one step closer to being a woman, and that becomes a clit, and like they can't have a pussy. They
But
can
here's
only
the
have a
thing.
pussy.
So I learned how to pee standing up so I could go hiking and not have to like squat. I was just like,
Mhm.
yo, I will pull my shit up and I'll just do it. I don't care.
Look, I love a shiwi. It's a bomb.
Right.
Yeah.
I love a
Love that
shiwi.
shit.
My girl. My girl.
This is an educational show. We learn new terms here. This is great.
Yeah, the shiwi, it's like it's a funnel that you put on
It's like a little
your
funnel,
pussy
and
and then you pee through it, and
didn't know this.
you can you can write with it.
You can just like, yeah, you can just chill and just like fully like just totally just jam out a pee and it comes out of the funnel and just like, I play with it all the time, but I still like it actually has a function other than feeding people.
Okay, Chastity Queen is next question. Why do men grab their crotches when they play baseball? Vivian?
They just really love touching balls.
Balls.
They just really love. They're obsessed with them.
Has anyone seen the like spoof baseball teams where like they do like the little dances and they like twerk on this, and then they like it's like theater and baseball with guys dance. I don't know what the fuck it is. I find it on my my little rabbit hole reels all the time, and I'm like, what? I would go to this baseball game. I hate fucking baseball. I don't even know about baseball. I would go to this baseball game. Why am I looking at my fucking thing like it's over here? I don't know.
Alternatively, why did Michael Jackson grab his crotch when he danced?
Because he's fucking hot as shit. Michael Jackson was a piece, dude. That's why. Oh! No. Anyway.
Right.
Because it's again about the dick.
Yeah.
I mean, the baseball thing I can't answer. The only sport I pay attention to is soccer because it involves CBT. But why did he grab his crotch? Because it's just like, but that's what guys do. They grab their crotches all the time. They're constantly adjusting themselves, adjusting their pants, adjusting their boxers. The amount of times they touch their balls a day is very high. And then they go around touching things like cell phones and doorknobs.
And their faces.
And their faces. Sir, that was in your sweaty crotch.
I did not make this question up. This is Chastity Queen. Do men jerk off to make sure they still have cum?
I think probably. They just need to prove I'm a real boy.
Yeah.
Are you?
Let's look at some of the.
I bet you're not. Come here.
Let's look at some of the comments. Stan Vladimir, who? Oh, we got to talk to Stan. We got to talk about Stan at the end. We need your advice for Stan. But he says, "Evening, Nico." Sunshine says, "Duct tape, brilliant, nice, Miss Claudia." Sissy Kimmy says, "Hi all, loving this conversation." Sunshine says, "Hello, Nico. You look marvelous."
Nico
In
is
the
here for
aisle.
you.
Yes, all these hellos. When you give away your pussy, you give away your clout. Sissy Kimmy, throwing away keys is such an exciting fantasy, but I always think about the practical, like shaving and deep cleaning. Okay. And then the Norwegian chimes in. Nico dropped my keys into the bathtub drain once.
On camera.
All right. Tell us about this. Because this does go with the theme of the show.
I forgot about that. I was in the bathtub and he was in Chastity, and I was like, hey, I'm going to send you a video of me in the bathtub while you're in Chastity. And so I'm like, la, la, la. And I get to the ankle because I had his Chastity around my ankle. And I'm like, oh, you like that, don't you? And then it was like, boop. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. And then it was gone.
Oh.
And then it was gone because the water was draining out of the tub. It was a fucking nightmare. And I'm like, oh my God. What are we gonna? Well, I'm like, what are we gonna do? And so anyhow, I have more than one key, obviously. And so fortunately, I think he'd either gotten a small thing like bolt cutters and cut it off, or I had found a spare key that worked. But yeah, it went right down there, and I was like, so on the next episode of Nico Does Something Fucking Stupid, like I couldn't believe I'd done it, and I'm like, well, there it went.
And Sunshine says, "Directing your squirt. That's amazing, Mrs. Vivian."
It's
All right,
super
before we finish
That's
up,
magic.
I do want to talk about Stan. Our friend Stan is a very good friend of the show. Out there in Romania, I believe. Now we're in America, so it's a different vibe. It's a different country, right? But all over the world, right? People are starting munches. So for someone who, if there's no scene where you are, you moved around, right? You travel around, but you find kinky people wherever you go, right? Yeah. I see all of you. You get the fire in us, like I say. So how can we help Stan? What is some advice? So to start like a munch, something, if someone's out there in the world listening to this. There's no one out there that they can find to connect with. That's all people are looking for. Connection. I started this to just to connect with people. So what can we tell Stan or
you can
anybody
have
out
Stan
there?
come on and be on your show, first of all.
Oh, yeah,
say, hey Stan, come be on my show. And Stan can go
Bulgaria.
on there and be like, Bulgaria.
Bulgaria.
Stan,
Excuse me, Bulgaria.
Stan, I'm going to hook you up right now. I can think of 2 people I know, not in Bulgaria, but that are in Eastern Europe, that know kinky people, that are kinky people, that I'm guarantee you would do some sick shit at Dracula's house any day of the week.
What about Vivian, Claudia? Someone in another country who wants to maybe start a munch or just start some kind of scene. What would you recommend?
If he has access to the internet is incredible for meeting people in your area, whether it be through Fat Life. I'm sure there's other people that are close to him that are on Fat Life or on I'm not sure. I'm not really active on social media because I'm so busy, but I've met a lot of people through Fat Life.
Yeah.
I know that it's like worldwide. I'm not sure.
The editor of my book, the person who wrote the cover, they drew the covers, I met through Fat Life. I'd highly recommend or anybody out there,
Right.
find one other person, just a friend. Just a friend. Doesn't have to be a friend. You don't have to have sex with them. You don't have to tie them up. You don't have to spank them. Just a person who's got that vibe. You know what I mean? Start a munch.
Yeah.
If it's just two people, go to a restaurant. Put it on FetLife. Say like,
register
we're
it with
trying to
FetLife.
start a munch. We're trying to start a munch.
Yeah.
Wear your street clothes. Don't be creepy.
Yeah.
Come with an open mind. Pay your own
You don't have
fucking
to gimp
bill.
out. You know.
Right.
Exactly. I mean,
All right.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, E. It's so good. Into shark infested waters, Domme Danielle. Okay, Domme Danielle could not make it. She sends her regards. And okay, we have one more question. Now, this is not to you. The question says, if your cock. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say if your sub's cock, right? If your sub's cock was a tool, what would it be? Miztress Claudia, let's start with you.
A can opener. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. That's the first thing that came to my mind.
All right.
My girl says a can of. I know you just asked a question, but can I just please tell you about the first time I met Miztress Claudia?
Please.
Listen.
I take myself out.
So this was years and years ago in Arizona, which I'm not sure if you're. We haven't talked in so long. I keep looking at this thing like that's where my fucking camera is. It's not. I haven't talked to you in so long. I'm not sure if you are still in Scottsdale or if you're over on the East Coast. But when I first met Miztress Claudia, it was in Arizona, and we were both working at a very well-known, reputable play place down there. And I walk in there, and I see this woman, and she's in this black, patent, shiny, and she's just pow, 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 pow. And she comes up long, straight, just iron straight black hair, reminding me of Cher. And she's this little tiny, okay. Let me also mention, she is 5 foot, absolutely fucking nothing. And so she comes up, and she's like, hi, I'm Claudia. And I'm like, hi, you are mild as, like, I'm like, are you sure you are in the right place? Because, like, I literally just had my arm in someone's asshole, like, up to my elbow, and I don't think you belong here. She's so sweet. And so then the next thing I know, I hear Portia yell, Claudia, your appointment's here. And she's like, thanks, Portia. And so she goes back there, and she's so quiet. And the next thing I hear, get on your knees! And I'm just like, oh my God. She went bananas. And I'm in the other room, and I'm like, was that Kirk? And I'm new. Claudia isn't new, by the way. Claudia had been there for a little bit. I'm brand new, and I'm like, oh my God. I don't think I'm sticking around for the plot. Like, I need to know what happens. I didn't go home. I was done. I could have went home. I didn't go home. I waited until her session was a 2-hour session, and there I sit because I just needed to know who came out and who went in, because it was different. It was different. And then like 2 days later, we still barely know each other, and I just know this like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, right? And she's so sweet, and I am sick. I'm not talking kind of sick. I'm talking full-blooded, like I can't keep my eyes open. I'm like feverish, not well. She puts me in this little tiny toaster car, and it's the cutest fucking car. And I'm like, I love your car. And I'm falling asleep in her car. Like, you must have thought I was a drug addict. I wasn't. I was just super, super sick. But I remember thinking, oh no, she's not going to like me because she thinks I'm probably a crackhead. But she drove me home, and she was always so kind to me. And I just remember thinking, how did such a nice girl end up in a place like this? And then she drops these bombs on me. She's making movies, and she's a mommy, and she's doing this, and she's just this fucking rowdy girl, and she's riding horses, and she's doing this, and I'm just like, I'm just over here living life. Anyhow, Claudia, it's very good to see you.
Ladies and gentlemen, to add insight and balance to this show called I Don't Care About Your Dick, we have to talk about the butt. The butt is very important. And this woman, oh, wow. I love this woman so much. Anna Valentina. Anna Valentina is she is part of the pegging panel. Yes, she is part of the YKF pegging panel. Welcome, Anna. So what is your opinion of, I mean, you're a little late to the show. We went through all the questions, but the theme is, I don't care about your dick. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, a lot of thoughts on that. I think it's okay, first off the top of my head, it is, kind of limiting to men, but advantageous to us as femdoms that so much is centered around the dick. It's because we can take advantage of that, right? Not just from like a humiliation perspective, but also our own massive pounding throbbing cocks, there's and what do we think about their dicks? For me, like when I'm in session, it's a piece of meat to play with, like I'm not having genital sex with you. It's just like, if you come in with like a 12-inch monster, blah, blah, it's like, oh, great.
Cock is very secondary to the psychological.
Yep.
For me, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd rather fuck with your mind before I fuck with anything else.
Give me a big juicy brain. Mwah! Imagination. Give me imagination. Give me something that really like gets me wet and juicy. If anything, if somebody is too cock proud, that's good reason to take them down. Let's re-examine your clever verbal SPH. Exactly. Oh,
what are
I
some
love it.
ones that you use? What are some ones that you use?
When I'm doing SPH, a lot of times I go into the just kind of like embarrassing but kind of cutting. Isn't that cute? Oh, honey, just like kind of feeling sorry for them, and just kind of, that must be really hard for you. Not hard, but just just like, oh, baby, so sorry. It must be very difficult for you out there, and when you see guys in the locker room, and oh, I'm so sorry, baby. Can we?
I'll beat the bold out of a cock.
What's that?
I'll beat the bold out of a cock. I'm not. I don't give a single fuck.
I mean, the only time I want to be paying attention to a cock at all is when I'm doing CBT or Chastity. Yeah. But that's it. Yeah. That's the only time it even matters.
Don't come in proud to me. Time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. If you think your cock is so special, I've got a dozen of them. They're bigger than yours and they're different sizes. And, like I have a whole box of cocks that are worth 10 times more than your dick is. Like, let's not get it twisted.
So
exactly. My dick. I've never met anyone with a dick bigger than mine. Ever.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
That poses the question, penis envy. When you hear the term penis envy, what's the first word that comes to your mind? Miztress Claudia.
Crass.
I don't know.
When they scientists are like, women.
Personally, I don't envy penis. I like having nothing dangling between my legs. But I just think that, the society places so much on the performance of a penis. And I'm not envious of penis myself. So I'm not sure what the answer would be.
Yeah. Well, I am a big dick rich white man.
Yeah.
Just
I feel like
how I identify.
penis envy isn't like necessarily about the physical penis either. Like you can have big dick energy and somebody will be like, that person clearly has a massive cock. Like, and maybe
It can precede them.
yeah.
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 I see that. I agree with that.
You
So are they
know,
envious of the actual cock, or are they envious of what they perceive the cock to be?
Of what exactly.
Yeah.
Because last I checked, none of us ladies actually have a cock, but we carry big dick energy.
Yeah, I have a giant hunk of
Big dick energy. And
Yeah.
and we're not worried
Carry
about it.
big dick.
I'm not worried about it. None of these women are worried about it. We know.
You know,
we know.
yeah.
Mhm.
We know.
Someone
play J. Cole.
Yeah, I have more like if we're just talking, if we're talking about like sexual prowess, I have more sexual prowess in my little finger than like 90% of penises have intrinsically, So if we're talking about like, oh, what you can do, but it's all similar. Dudes are obsessed with dicks, not just their own, but other dicks too. And like, they're just, like this is why we see big dicks in porn all the time, because dudes are obsessed with it. And it's not like, it's not about how much pleasure or sexual prowess it brings, whatever. It's just this whole dick kind of thing. And, it's this very like basic thing. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, that said though, like when I strap on, and I've done some very large, I've had some very large toys, and it's funny because it does change. It changes the way I walk. I mean, when it's slapping between your knees, it does change the way you walk. But,
you have to stretch a little first.
The first
You need to stretch. You need to warm up. Like this thing weighs like 5 pounds and I'm about to get to work with it. So yeah, I need to limber up and do some fucking calisthenics. Because Jesus Christ. I have a whole new respect for men that go in and do the damn thing. Because when I go in to do the damn thing, I am fucking exhausted. Exhausted.
100%.
Like my ass hurts, my back hurts. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm sweating. I'm like, I'm blown the fuck out. And then they can't walk straight for the next 3 days. So everybody's happy, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But fuck.
Ain't that true?
Anyhow, I have to run, you guys. I actually have to go to work soon.
Bye, Nicco. Thanks.
Bye. You guys, ladies. Mwah, 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 mwah. Claudia. Oh, God.
Go to Nicco Noire.
Nicholas, I'm going to call you in the morning.
All right.
I'm going to call you. Bye.
Bye.
The first time I put on a strap on, I was a fucking menace.
Oh, yeah?
Oh my God. Yeah, no, immediately. I was like, I will destroy everything. Look at my massive cock. This is what it means to be a god. It gave me a complex. It really did.
Yeah.
I'll hide that shit under skirts, under trench coats. I'll just show up with it. It'll be fine.
Ooh. Yeah. So, when are we going to go out?
No, when do you want to?
It's true though. It really, the first time I ever used a strap on, I think I was like 19 years old and it was on a woman. I did not play with a strap on a dude until, I think maybe a couple of years later. I wanted to though. Oh my God. I wanted to strap on with a dude since I was like in my 15 or something, in my teens, like I knew that was something that I wanted to do. But I didn't have the opportunity until like a few years, later. And, by then I had gotten enough experience to really kind of get a lot of respect for it, to know that it's like, that you gotta like, how you're thrusting like deep and, steady and like applying that pressure and, like keeping the, and, I gotta tell you, like, I've said this before, but I really believe this. Every woman should have that experience of strapping on, because it really does show you from the other side. Like, you just get so much respect, like you said, like so much respect for that that topping experience, that thrusting
Yeah.
experience, and you're like, oh wow, yeah, this is really like, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
I really, this is part of why I say, like, every hetero dude needs to get pegged, because it teaches empathy from both sides, not just from his side of getting penetrated, but also from ours. We get a lot of
Mhm.
respect for, the work that dudes put on, hey, everybody gets something out of it, we're building bridges here. We're building bridges.
And speaking of building bridges, we have Domme Danielle. Is she there? I think she's just audio.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm here.
I think. Hi, Domme Danielle. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing?
I am well. You're on the air.
Thanks.
And I don't care about your dick.
I don't care about yours either.
Okay.
I listened to the whole show. It was really good. I listened to it. I was really, really entertained. I'd love to. Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Well,
Go ahead.
do you have anything to add about, because you and I made a lot of these questions.
Well, I will just. The first time I ever put on a dick too, it was really interesting. There was like this transference of energy where I could feel it in my clit, right, when I put it on, and I was like, "Uh-oh, we're opening up a can of worms here. Can't go back from this one," you know.
I wore mine around my house for several hours. Like,
Yeah. I
yeah.
remember answering. I was dating this woman, and oh, it was so fun. I was young and crazy, and I answered delivery with my dick on. And the guy, she liked that.
I love that. I love that so much.
But yeah, I liked what I think it was, yeah, Mrs. Vivian said about, attaching self-esteem to the dick. And one of the questions that I asked Nick before this was like, what, and I don't know if you guys covered this, but what would the equivalent be for women? Would it be like our youthfulness, or, these patriarchal messages that we have to deconstruct and say that's not true? I wonder what it would be for women, the bullshit.
Mm.
I was just curious about
That's
that.
an excellent question.
Like, as far
Tits?
as like how our prowess is sized up, or like sexual
Like, what is our worth attached to?
Yeah, in an incorrect way,
Okay.
right? Like,
Right,
in like
right.
the messages that, yeah. For me, I think it might be like beauty.
I think it's conventional beauty.
Yeah, I think so too. Conventional
Yeah.
beauty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. I have a shaved head, and a lot of, why did you shave your head? I'm like, look, dude, I don't ask you why you don't have a mustache, or, you know what I mean? Or, I wear wigs sometimes too in session, but like, it's just very interesting and stupid.
Yeah. No, I love a shaved head baddie.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I could genuinely say, I think all of you are beautiful. I've talked to you, through time and everything like that. I genuinely think all of you are beautiful people. All right, thank you very much. This has been a great show. And you know what? Oh my God, I'm so sick of talking about cock. I can't wait for cunnilingus.
Oh, God.
So I wanted to ask you, Anna Valentina, though.
Yes.
Before we end, all right. The butt plays a whole role in this too, especially with the whole men obsessed with their cocks. There's the Kate Webb question of why are men obsessed with their own assholes and stuff like that. So, has pegging, anal sex, or any kind of butt play, how does it affect the male cock?
Oh, that's a really good question. I would say that the guys I know who enjoy anal play, it really does recenter sexual pleasure in a way that is much more holistic much more holistic, where it's not it's not just about the penis as a source of pleasure. It's kind of like, if you were to compare it to like on a woman's physiology, if a woman only ever played with her clit and only ever got sexual pleasure and sexual self-esteem, as correlated to a man from her clit, whereas like if she were to play with her vagina, because that's what we're talking about, like male people who explore their rectal, pleasures, really opens up a whole sorry, I can't stay away from the puns.
Keep it with the puns. I love it. It's great.
An entirely new arena of pleasure and just, sensuality. And I do find that, since you mentioned that, the guys I know who enjoy anal play are much more chill about their cocks, about any kind of like, body image, with that in mind, that kind. And we're talking like guys who, have nothing to worry about as far as their, endowment and that kind of thing. It's not just like, oh, they have small dicks and so they like their asses getting no, it's not like that. It's they just realize that there is more to life than just the penis. And there's just this whole kind of like overall mindset of not being cock-centric. And also, of course, it greatly helps when they know from experience that they have mind-rocking orgasms from anal play. That's it's pretty easy to convince somebody that the cock is not the center of the entire world when they're just coming their brains out from something else. That's a big selling point.
Yeah.
But right. And and it's kind of fun that guys like that are not, they're never threatened by my cock. But I do. I feel like the guys who are the most hidebound about their, like ego bound about their dicks, are the ones who really need to be pegged the most. Like they really, they really need to have their minds and other parts expanded.
Yeah, well, especially because I feel like a lot of the guys who are just super, super, super dick focused are also, they kind of like romanticize suffering in other aspects of their lives. And so their cock is literally their only source of pleasure because nothing else, they've like sacrificed in all of these other places and they've been through all of this pain. And if that's the only pleasure they get, because sex is not for pleasure, it's for reproduction. And then also their jobs are really hard, demanding jobs. And so they do not get pleasure from there. And they have no idea how to be emotionally intimate with anybody, let alone their wife or girlfriend. That might just be the only place where they can get any sort of endorphin.
Oh my God. Yes. So well put. So well put. Yes. It's the centralization of emotional outlet.
Yeah. Cause like when we look at like there's the whole like male loneliness epidemic, right? But the male loneliness epidemic is mainly because men do not know how to have really good intimate relationships with each other, with the women in their lives. They don't know how to talk to anybody. They don't know how to hold each other. Right? Like really like give themselves platonic intimacy, which women do all the time. We cuddle and we hug and we touch, and that there's not that fear there, but they have this deep-seated fear there. And so the burden of intimacy then falls on only their wives and girlfriends, because that is the only place where they are socially allowed to even have that. Absolutely. But then men who take the time to explore their bodies and they take their time to explore pleasure tend to be more open-minded about pleasure overall. And because they happen to be more open-minded about pleasure overall, they are less likely to hyperfixate on one spot because they have way more pleasure in a wide rainbow throughout their lives.
Beautifully said. So fucking perfectly said. Absolutely. 100%.
I
Absolutely.
love
Yeah.
this.
Great analysis. Analysis.
All right, we're gonna wind it up.
One can
We're gonna
say I'm a
wind.
cunning linguist.
Yes.
Ah!
Oh, speaking of cunning, there's a hip hop group called the Cunning Linguist that
Yeah. Fun
yeah.
fact. I'm really good friends with the guy who did that guy's website and like knows him really well. He's
The Cunning
the guy,
Linguist?
the kind of
Linguist?
linguist guy. He actually,
Yeah.
his wife organizes his porn collection.
Yeah. As it
Yeah,
should
that's
be.
how
I mean, it
cool
should be
he is.
organized like
Yeah.
So let's end it this way. I'm gonna go around the room.
Yeah.
All right. I have a cock. Sometimes I'm a big dumb male. Right? Look. It is what it is. The kink community, and seriously, my connections and my friendships with the kink community and women like you make me a better man. Seriously, I'm tolerant. I'm kinder. I'm artistically creative now. I could fuck better. Seriously, because of the kink community and because of the education that I've learned just from speaking to people like you. So, what advice would you give to somebody out there, a man who's watching this, who is kind of frustrated, who's kind of like, fuck, it is all about, or is worried, is the psychological aspect, just they don't know what to fucking do. What would you tell them? Let's start with Miztress Claudia.
So what would I tell him about not caring about his dick? Or
Yeah, or just if someone who's obsessed with their dick, or maybe they shouldn't. Maybe they're too obsessed with their dick, or they spend too much time on it, or they're being controlled by it. You know what I mean?
I think that if someone puts so much pressure on one aspect of their life, that they really need to kind of discover, who are they? Like, who are you? What, it just seems like that's something maybe isn't, they might need to, I don't know. I don't know anymore. I just don't know. I think as you get older, and I think as people realize that isn't really the most important thing. I think it's an evolution, in discovering who you are, and that there is more to life than just how many things you can stick your cock in or whatever, because I think, a lot of the younger generations, they're brought up with like a free for all, with the internet and with, sex and pornography. And so they're getting this, convoluted idea of what am I, and how does my dick measure up to these, it's a whole process that I think that it I don't know what to say about it, actually.
Domme Danielle, do you have any thoughts about things you would like to say to a male struggling out there who's either obsessed with his own cock, or is being like led by it, or just has frustrations and anxiety?
I would say that person is so lucky, because there are so many educated people who work in the industry that could help him, and he should save his penny and book a session, and even just a talk session, like a coaching session. Seriously, because it's not just about what we do, the activities, the behavior. There's so much that we do that helps people, whether they're aware of it or not. Or, I was talking to my friend about this the other day, like BDSM as therapy, and it's on a spectrum, right? Sometimes people know that they're being helped that way. Sometimes they don't want that. We don't do that, whatever, consent, But we have so much knowledge that we can share and help with people in regards to this. And even couples, I love working with couples. And don't be scared to ask someone who maybe just that's not advertised on their site if they even offer that, because they probably would.
Kink helps kink, ask that. This is all about helping each other out, get kinky together. So,
but I would say the last thing I would say is, of course, I'm going to do something from like a harm reduction perspective. It's not necessarily the substance, quote unquote, but
sorry,
it's your
go ahead.
relationship with it, right? Like, how detrimental is it to your life? How much does it get in the way of anything? You know, that's all.
Anna Valentina, your thoughts?
Yeah, I would, kind of build on that. Um, I think the most important thing that I try to address is to think of the entire body. Think of the entire body as potential for pleasure. And not just giving pleasure, but also receiving pleasure. And we're not just talking about the ass, we're talking about, being trained to tune in to your body, to tune into sensuality. And the more that a penis haver can do to tune into their own body, the more empathy they will have to tune into their partner's body as well. And that's the basis of when I say, like, that it's good for every male to be pegged and so on. It really is about that. It's really about teaching empathy. It's really about building that understanding. And, I mean, who doesn't want to have better sex? Who doesn't want to have, now I'm going to reply to that. And right now is like, okay, people do have, emotional blocks or traumas or something like that. But, and I think that is a big thing with men, is like working past the emotional blocks of like, is it okay for me to feel this? Is it okay for me to feel this much pleasure? Is it okay for me to like this? Is it okay for me to let my guard down? That can be a whole thing right in itself, which needs to kind of be incorporated into trust with your top, or trust with your partner, or just trust in yourself, basically. But the cock is, again, it's like the clit. It's like, that is only, if you will, just the tip. It's just the tip, it's the tip of your pleasure. It's the tip of your pleasure iceberg. And there is so much more underneath that. There's so much more to explore. And there's a tremendous amount, it's not the tip of the iceberg that does the damage. It's the body underneath it that has the weight.
That's a great quote. That's a
right?
great quote. Vivian, any final words about, like, any advice to give to some guy who's just overwhelmed, or dealing with the small cock, or maybe the cock's too big, or just focused just on his dick?
Honestly, so many of these answers, all of these answers are really good and really beautifully done. One of the things that I talk about a lot on Twitter, because like my whole thing is basically escapism, right? And part of decentering the cock is learning pleasure and intimacy outside of that space. So I am a really big promoter of masturbation, but I extra push platonic masturbation, right? And I mean like really setting the scene for yourself. I mean like lighting candles, giving yourself highbrow, lowbrow food, like making it a deeply sensual experience out of the time of you touching yourself on a regular basis. It could be once a month, it could be twice a month, maybe 4 times a month, whatever, right? Like, get to know yourself on a deeply sensual level that is not orgasm focused, so that you can experience pleasure that doesn't have to do with an orgasm, and that is platonic, and that is giving yourself love. And it can be really, really hard for people. Self-esteem is a really, like, the self-love journey is both extremely challenging and not at all linear. So when we talk about moving pleasure beyond the cock, you need to be able to tap into a space that can be really uncomfortable and make people really nervous. Like, touching yourself in a way that is not sexual is not something a lot of people have a lot of practice in while giving yourself that pleasure. But there's a lot to be said about just sitting there and like rubbing your collarbone, or like giving yourself a hug is another really good one. Feeling your arms and like the texture where the muscles are, and just gently very positively, telling yourself really, really kind things while you touch yourself in a platonic way goes a really long way. Do it in front of a mirror too. Like, phenomenal.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely
Beautiful.
beautiful. I'm gonna end it with this. I know that at Mischief Manor, I go to the manor and I see all these scenes in front of me, and it's all really based on sensuality and the human touch. There's not like semen flying everywhere and stuff like that. Like, don't be wrong, we have pads for the squirters and stuff like that. So yeah, we have a Symbian, but the thing is, it's the touch. Seriously, just the touch, just sometimes on the skin, and throughout, from me being sick and stuff like that, I learned to appreciate the human touch. It's so much more than just the climax of an orgasm. It's my cock works. I'm glad it does, and I'm going to use it until it stops working. You know what I mean? But I have to. I know one of these days. Age happens. Right? Age happens. I'm not, but I have my mind. I have my heart. Right? I have my whole body, like you said, the rest of the body. So let's just use to our advantage everything we can. So let's just end it off with this. Kink helps kink. The YKF Art and Poetry Project has just started. Vivian is absolutely incredible. I've read some of her poetry. I highly recommend that she does post it. It's worth reading. There's a lot of poetry out there that's bullshit. This is worth reading. Trust me.
Because of our conversation, we're actually starting an erotic poetry group here in Portland, where we're going to be having a poetry munch.
Wait, you're in Portland too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, girl. Okay. All right.
I love this so much. So let's go around the room, promote yourselves. How can people get in touch with you? How can people, talk with you? If anyone reaches out to any of these people, please be respectful, right? Be respectful. And so let's Domme Danielle. How can people get in touch with you and support you?
Website, dommedanielle.com.
Domme Danielle. Okay. Oh, you have a question that you said favorite position.
I did have a question.
To give anal.
Yeah.
Anal.
Well, because I think a lot of times people assume that it's like when you think of pegging, it's like doggy style. I love when they're on their back. Actually, that's my favorite. I was wondering what y'all's favorite is.
Anna, what's your favorite? You're the pegging queen.
Thank you. I also love on their back, look them in the eyes, legs up, just super, and I can lean in and super intimate, really like, I love the headspace. I love the intimate. I love the, like, you can't fucking get away from what's happening. So I'm totally there.
Yeah.
Yes, wrap your legs around my waist. I'm gonna fucking grab your shoulders and just like lock eyes with you. That's my favorite. That's my absolute, just it's a head fuck as well as a body fuck. That's my favorite. So yeah.
All right, Anna Valentina, how can we get in touch with you? How can people get in touch with you and
AnnaValentina.com, also on Twitter, Ms. Anna Valentina on Instagram, Anna Valentina on FetLife. But yeah, my website is always good, AnnaValentina.com. You can just email me. By the way, I want to say, Sunshine, hi, thank you. I couldn't log into chat, but it's so good to see you too. Thanks.
I highly recommend check out the pegging panel with Miss Genevieve and Anna Valentina. This is a very, very fun episode. Shout out to Miss Genevieve. I love Mistress Genevieve. I always invite her on the show too. She's very busy though. Obviously.
Yeah, she's the best. She's so awesome.
Miztress Claudia, how can people get in touch with you, support you, and
my website, mistressclaudia.com. I am on Instagram and Twitter also. I'm not sure what I'm under. I get on there, but not a lot. I I do answer text messages. My phone number is 774-269-4757. I always respond to text messages and I never respond to phone calls.
Right on.
Never.
Right on. Yeah.
Vivian, how can people get in touch with you and support everything you do?
Yeah, girl.
They can go to vivianvibes.com. That has all of my links on it, and you'll either find me under Vivian Vibes or Vivian's Got Vibes on all the rest of the internet because I took the hell out of that name. Sometimes you can find me under Sinful Serotonin.
Ooh,
Yeah, that one's really fun. That's my favorite.
nice. All right.
They can also give me a call via peplove.com, where we do non-judgmental BDSM phone calls. And my phone number on there is 423-750-2936.
You're with Peplove. Bless
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's
Shout
good
out to
shit.
Peplove, Amy,
Yeah.
Giselle, Sarah Miles, all of them. They're amazing. This
Oh.
show would not exist without Peplove. Seriously, they were I started interviewing people. I met Amy. I knew Amy for a while, and she basically introduced me to the whole and all the ladies. And the first couple episodes were all Peplove ladies. So I love Peplove. I just want to give a shout out to the kinky authors who've been on the show. Carly DeVille, Naughtylicious. Check out her book, Naughtylicious. It's a great conversation starter for people who are super horny all the time. Jason Mangano, this is not a kinky book, it's a zombie book, The Heroic Dead. Definitely a friend of the show. Dominatrix Boss by Asher Lake, also known as Dirk Hooper. Yes, and of course, Your Kinky Friends. Your Kinky Friends, the book. There's a book I wrote before this was. I wrote it. I did all this just really to promote this book. So yeah, to get some credibility. So
You're the hardest working self-publicist in the biz.
hell yeah, damn right. So damn right. So, but look, everybody, we have a voice. We have a voice. We're a community. We have a voice. And the only way we can get through this is through culture, through art. Seriously. So if you paint, if you write, if you make music, if you anything creative, if you have an idea, reach out. Seriously. There's a lot of plans with this project. This can go very far. Be a part of it. You're going to want to be a part of it because when stuff starts happening, you're going to be like, oh, I wish I was a part of it. So please, seriously, you have a voice.
You're going to tribute that FOMO, huh? Be like, I wish I was part of that.
Definitely. The YKF Art and Poetry Project is something.
Love it.
Seriously. It's
Love
something
it.
that it's going to spark inspiration. And that's what I'm all about. Everybody, please read a book, go out. Kink helps kink. Be cool, be kind, keep an open mind. Take care, everybody. Have a great week. Bye.